Fires of Magic, Rise of Spider-Man. Chapter 21, Race through Manhattan. Hundreds to thousands of ponies filled the streets of Manhattan, the roars of applause extending to the further streets of the city. The day had finally arrived, all the build-up leading up to this point. It was a tale of the seasoned veteran taking the up-and-coming rookie, Spitfire and Spider-Man. Even the gathered crowd could not help but feel a mismatch of today's event. A unicorn facing off against a Pegasus, and the aerial race was almost unheard of, surpassed only by the fact that the Pegasus offered a challenge in the first place. Every pony wondered what the captain of the Wonderbolts could have been thinking, but Spitfire's answers to the media were often cryptic, usually ending with a simple "you'll see when the day comes," which just seems like it'll be fun. Perhaps he saw something in the rookie no pony else could see, wanted nothing more than to test his mettle. Spider-Man may have been strong, but it was left to see if his speed could match his strength. In the sea of ponies gathered for the event, only a few physically showed their support for a hero. Derby, sitting by the sitting line, wore her signature t-shirt with a heart next to Spider-Man's face. She also carried her flag in her mouth, and the words Spidey's #1 fan being etched into it. Across the street from her position was Spider-Man's entourage, all wearing crimson and navy blue ribbons around their necks and hooves. Even Princess Celestia and Luna displayed their support subtly by donning the same ribbons around their necks. However, with a navy blue cheerleader's uniform around her frame, and a sign of Spider-Man's insignia over her chest, Pinkie Pie wearing her crimson pom-poms high over her head, ecstatically showing her support by enthusiastic cheers and rhymes. "Spider-Man! Spider-Man! Go!" She held a note, lowering her pom-poms and leaping to the highest of her ability. "Spider-Man! Woo!" The others chose not to intervene in their friend's performance, partially out of fear they would be forced to join the activity. The ever-stoic Trixie was the unfortunate soul that caused Pinkie's sight earlier. Without a chance to form a rebuttal, namely due to the pink mare's speedy mouth, she was thrown into a matching cheerleader's uniform, handed a pair of pom-poms as well. As much as the former magician wanted to support her friend Parker, she wished to retain some form of dignity, but it seemed that was a small price for pay for having allies now. Trixie sighed. Only today would she stoop so low. "Hurrah! Hurrah!" the unicorn blankly stated, mirroring Pinkie's motions with an immense look of exasperation. "Spider-Man! Hurrah!" As both mares continued their cheering, the others conversed, passing by what little time remained before the beginning of the main event. But Ren remained to herself, keeping her gaze fixated on the starting line while her mind attempted to sort out the countless thoughts that filled it to the brim. Several hours had passed since that dreadful incident. Twilight could still hardly believe what had transpired. She kissed Pierre, but ran away a moment after, leaving the librarian's heart to question the actions of both her mind and body. Memories of the morning after played through her mind, adding to her pent-up stress. She wanted her friends, rather the ones that knew a secret, wished Pierre good luck before departing. For reasons unknown, Twilight could not bring herself to do the same. She could hardly sleep. Images of their kiss refusing any peace of mind. It was easy to imagine Pierre going through the same ordeal, causing Twilight to further chastise herself. How could she have been so selfish? The appraisal of the Wonderbolt's top flyer was sure to require all of his focus. After what happened last night, it was safe to assume that Amir's attention was elsewhere. Twilight shook her head disapprovingly. It didn't help that she was directly avoiding contact with him, too. Eventually, she would talk to him, but only after when she comes to terms with his emotions. It was unfair. For all she knew, Pierre felt the entire situation was just a tease. Twilight scolded herself for leaving such an impression. That was not the case. She really liked Pierre, more than any pony she's ever known. And that didn't give her the right to string him about so cruelly. His feelings were just as important as hers, but Twilight wanted to be absolutely sure it was truly love she felt for Pierre. The safest route had to be taken, though it proved to be the most difficult path to follow. The mare let out an exasperated sigh. Why does it have to be so complicated? Unfortunately, in her guilt-ridden trance, Twilight shifted her gaze over, accidentally coming to direct eye contact with Pierre. Every pony had already left the room, leaving her with no shields to duck behind. The muscles of her lip went numb, eliminating the choice to retreat. The inside of her mouth grew dry, making it impossible to form tangible words. Both ponies stood in awkward silence, a flush filling their faces as a result. A dual-set course was thrown Twilight, a battle of wills within her heart and mind. One begged to stay and apologize to Pierre, to explain her behavior, while the latter screamed for a tactical retreat, Knowing that a course of action was not meant to be taken today, much to her dismay, Pierre made the first move and slowly approached the mare. The eternal debate came to a screeching halt, sending Twilight into a deep panic. All her muscles were still locked. As the closer Pierre got, the fuzzier mind grew. He stopped a couple inches inside Twilight, but his hazel irises grew soft upon quick inspection. Perhaps he could have sensed the trouble going through her mind, or it was written all over her face. In either case, Pierre smiled somberly before gently placing his hoof over Twilight's shoulder, earning a light gasp for his attention. "Take as long as you need to figure things out," Pierre whispered, earnest care evident in his voice. He leaned forward a bit clumsily and gently pressed his lips to Twilight's forehead. "I'll wait as long as it takes." Twilight lowered her head, desperate to hide the crimson blush that surely stained her cheeks. But, despite the immense level of embarrassment she felt, she could not keep her lips from curling into a relieved smile. Pierre's caring nature remained as sterling as ever, easing away a great deal of tension built up in her mind and body. A word so simple and a kiss so brief, Pierre told Twilight that he understood. It was just as important for him as it was for her, meaning there was no need to rush into anything. Her feelings were sound, enforced thanks to Pierre's gentle assurance. But Twilight only wanted gentle guidance from her sister-in-law to be sure. Soon, she promised, very soon. Her hoof fell over Pierre's as he brought her violent gaze to meet his finally. "Thank you, Pierre." Unfortunately, her body ignored her mind's order to rendezvous with her friends, chose its own course of action. Swiftly, the mare gave the stallion a brief yet very affectionate peck on the cheek. Once the deed had been done, Twilight's senses came rushing back to fruition with the force of a waterfall. By the goddesses, she did it again. Her face beat red. The unicorn scurried out of the room, climbing with every obstacle in her path from a chair, across the table, and into the door. She managed to steal one final glance at Pierre, who waved sheepishly, before slamming the door shut with her magic, rather hardly. Frazzled, Twilight could only sigh. She hoped to gain control over this matter much sooner than later. "It's time to introduce the participants!" Stepping out of her trance, Twilight was greeted back to reality with an ear-deafening set of cheers. The earth shook as every point stopped in excitement, eagerly awaiting the announcer's next words. Rainbow Dash was the first to lean over her section's guardrail, prompting the others to follow her example. Instantly, Twilight nodded, deciding to take a place along the rail as well. There was plenty of time to sort out her new feelings. Right now, she had an important task. That was to lend Pierre as much moral support as he could. "Our first competitor hails from Cloudsdale. She's one of Equestria's finest flyers, the captain and most decorated member of the Wonderbolts. She holds over 20 honors since her start of her initiation. She's the one and only Spitfire!" Soaring through the clouds overhead with the speed of a bullet, a Pegasus clad in bright blue skin-tight jumpsuit with a yellow bolt design streamed across her chest came into view in front of houses of spectators below. The entire crowd erupted, quickly revealing who the fan favorite was once more. Fiery mane and tail whipped back at the mercy of the wind once more. The mare's speed increased in her descent. Inches above the ground, Spitfire pulled her wings back into her side and slid smoothly across the ground for several meters before coming to a perfect stop near the starting line. With a confident smirk, she gave the crowd a wink and a friendly wave of her hoof, intensifying the cheers around her tenfold. "Ha!" Dash squealed, holding her hose over her mouth. "Was that cool or what?" Applejack nodded, whistling. "Oh, yeah, I reckon that was pretty facing. Hey!" She turned to her friend with a glare. "Whose side you on, anyway?" Shaking her head, Rainbow raised her hoof defensively. "I'm on Spidey's side, no doubt about it." Her cheeky grin returned full force as she shifted her attention back to the starting line. "That doesn't mean I have to lie about what's cool and what's not, though." Trixie huffed, rolling her eyes. "At least she's honest, for whatever credibility that holds." "Honesty's my stick, loyalty's hers. Decided to make sure she wasn't able to screw it." Applejack smirked, poking at the skirt the unicorn wore. "Now, straight, by the way." Her brow twitched violently at the comment, leading Trixie to raise her hoof pom-pom to conceal her mouth. "Remind me to kill that idiot Parker later." She paused, setting her violent desires to the pink mare a few feet away. "For leaving me alone with her!" "Go on, Trixie! Here he comes! It's Spider-Man, so stick those palms!" Piggy Pie cheered, shaking her pom-poms vigorously. "I bet that wasn't the only thing she was shaking vigorously. Not sauce, like, say no all." Regretfully, the former assistant merely exhaled. She hit her pom-poms with the speed and strength of a turtle. Yet this seemed to have satisfied Pinkie, who smiled widely and raised her hose gleefully.
Our second comparator is somewhat a mystery. He's strong enough to take on the biggest dragons, and nice enough to help the tiniest fillies. He's Ponyville's hero, Spider-Man!
Trixie, is that a relative of yours? Is that Uncle Jasper? Trixie's pretty positive he's seen him. First on the edge of her top, Spider-Man sat on scribe assistant with his blank irises staring on the crowd beneath. While the applause was heard, or rather Pinkie's incessant cheering, several murmurs and whispers coursed through the populace. After several seconds, a few ponies managed to spot the stallion, pointing out his location for everyone to see. Suddenly the cheers increased in volume considerably, though paled in comparison to the ovation Spitfire received. However, that didn't matter to Pierre, for throughout his entire life, normal heroic, he had always been viewed as the underdog. Since another life in the day of the office for Wallcrawler. Since he said slightly, he managed to spot his supporters rather quickly, from a self-proclaimed #1 fan to his friends. Each gave him a smile, with the exception of Trixie, who mouthed off a silent "You owe me." But Pierre's gaze remained centered on Twilight, sending his mind in upheaval of sorts. So about last night and this morning, you're fine with it? I mean, Twilight kissed you twice. Let's not forget you sort of kissed her back. His mind scoffed. I get you told her to take her time and figure things out. What about you? Don't you need to figure this out too? I mean, going from kissing a girl to a pony is pretty extreme, dude! Spider-Man stood from his position. Well, truth be told, I was still surprised. I didn't think Twilight really liked me in that sense, but I'd be lying if I didn't say I liked her too. She's smart, cute, and really nice. Plus, she knows a few of my secrets, and none of them bother her. Twilight's really, he grinned, scratching the back of his head, special. To quote himself would have been redundant, and to recall any events would have been no different. It's true, Twilight was special. Honestly, Pierre felt he had so much in common with the librarian. She was socially awkward to an extent, managing the wildfire as if Parker truly was. She was really irresponsible, making Pierre's inner Uncle Ben proud. She was very intelligent, coming off as a nerd. Peter found it endearing, considering he was the Queen's biggest nerd back in New York. She was surprisingly clumsy, having the grace of a bull in a china shop. It somewhat mirrored Pierre, seeing as he was smooth was a mild understanding. Twilight was adorable, bearing the most wonderful smile. The pink strand of her mane he loved so much. How Peter begged he never discards it. His mind groaned. This was pathetic, but it wasn't a surprise. He felt his way since that night at Sakura when Twilight learned everything about his past, wanted to remain his friend nonetheless. Yet one significant trait remained, giving his mind one final chance to argue, and the whole her being a pony thing, isn't that weird? As he hopes holding across his face, Peter's answer was a simple, well, I'm a pony too. We've been over this. My background just doesn't matter to these girls. His gaze fell on the Applejack and Rainbow Dash. They know what I am, and they still call me their friend. His gaze shifted to Princess Celestia and Luna. They still trust me. His gaze moved to Rarity and Fluttershy. They still support me. Finally, Twilight fell back into his line of sight. So her being a pony doesn't bother me at all. We're not that different. Besides, he trailed off, following the temperature in his face rise. Twilight's a good kisser. All right, I get it. You really like her. Smiled out to be sigh. It was pointless to even attempt an argument. It seemed Twilight eliminated all shred of doubt with that one kiss. We know what you want. Let's just hope what she wants the same thing. Gives you all the more reason to not suck today! A sense of light erupted from within Pierre, like several bolts of electricity firing into a conductor. Yeah, let's get this started! Leaping from the building, Spider-Man allowed gravity to aid in his ascent. As the growl exclaimed with a mixture of awe and horror, he fired a strand of webbing to the closest building. As he fall into a swinging motion, using the strength of his lower body, Spider-Man threw himself from his webbing to perform a series of flips before landing perfectly on all four hooves by the starting line. Shrugging, he faced the crowd haplessly, somehow transforming a moment of silence into a stunning round of applause. While the crowd continued to hold their ovation, Pierre turned to the right, finding Derpy waving at him feverishly. He returned his gesture with a wave of his own, causing the clumsy Pegasus to slide blissfully, wave a flag over incensed figure. Smiling underneath his mask, Spider-Man faced his entourage. Princess Celestia smiled warmly, while her younger sister gave the stallion a firm nod, although a small smile could be seen within her features as well. His friends leaned over the rail, each managing to offer some form of support respectively. "Do be careful, darling!" Verity called out, concern evident in her voice. Stay safe," Fluttershy said, or rather whispered. Thankfully, Peter was able to read her lips through the crowd's noise.
"We believe you, partner!"
Applejack cheered, raising her brow to pair of cheerleaders to her side. Pinkie held a sign with Spider-Man's face on it, while Trixie, to her right, raised a poster with an exclamation point on it. Farmer snickered as he turned back to the masked stallion.
"They believe in you, too."
Rainbow smiled confidently. "Remember what we talked about, dude? You got this!" Lastly, Spider-Man turned to Twilight, held her hoof over her chest. Closing her eyes, she smiled and instantly cheered. "Good luck!" With that, the stallion nodded before turning to take his place behind the starting line. However, Spider's sense went off in his cranium, forcing Peter to stop in his tracks. Though the sense of danger was forewarning, it was not intense as usual. Mildly buzzing instead of sharp bolts of pain that occasionally struck. This meant the danger he was in was mild at best. Sadly, he blinked once, only to find an aquamarine mare leaping out, paws fully extended. Under duress, Spider-Man could have easily dodged the incoming attack, but stunned as he was currently to an amazing extent, Peter could only watch as helplessly as he was tackled to the ground. "Yes!" Lyra giggled uncontrollably, nuzzling her head against her trophy's chest and tightening her grip on the torso. "I have you! I finally have you!" Hey, does anybody mind if I groan at this?
No!
Ugh. Several players with batons tackled the young mare before she could revel in victory, freeing Spider-Man, who had not yet recovered from the initial shock of the attack. Kicking her hose with all her might, Lyra tried her best of her ability to break free, but numbers of security force proved too great, finally being subdued after what seemed like minutes. Lyra continued to squirm, keeping her wild, eccentric gaze duly focused on Spider-Man. "No! Let me go! You fools! He's a hip!" One of the guards snapped a muzzle over the mare's face, but that would not calm her rebellious spirit. It would only make her muffled speech intangible and impossible to understand. "I'll get you next time, you hear me? Next time!" Tears fell like gape as he watched the security drag her friend away. Her hood fell over her forehead. "Oh my stars, please tell me she didn't actually do that.
Please tell me we didn't actually go there!"
Reality having set back in, Spider-Man sat up from the ground, masked eyes as wide as the horizon. "Okay, who or what was that?" "Reddit fan. When you're famous, you tend to see those," Spitfire coolly stated, bringing Spider-Man's gains to find her hoof extended out to him. "It's nice to see you, dude." "Is that all? I was worried somebody wrong expressive for a moment." Spider-Man sighed, accepting a gesture and placing himself onto hers. With a quick jerk, she pulled him to the ground, earning his cheapest chuckle from the stallion. "Thanks for that." Tilting her head to a sigh, Spitfire's frown burrowed behind her goggles. "Not gonna lie, I thought you'd be taller and bulkier." Her eyes followed his slim, athletic figure slowly. "You're a bit on the puny side. Totally not what I was expecting." Sorry?" Spider-Man murmured, rubbing the top of his head. After her inspection, a smirk formed on Wonderbolt's face. "Never said it was a bad thing. I'm never what any pony expects. Part of my charm." "I'm just glad you're not a jock," Spitfire replied, smiling as she made her way to the starting line. Bringing one hoof against her chest, the Pegasus proceeded to stretch her limb. "Arrogant meatheads tend to rub me the wrong way." Spider-Man promptly took his respective place behind the line and balanced himself on his two front hooves, leaning vertically upright, performing push-ups for his position. The stallion let out a small chuckle. "Trust me, I'm the opposite of a jock. You say I'm a nerd, but that'd be an underestimate. Anyway, got a question for you. And that is..." Wayne stretched her photos of her ability before snapping back to her side. "Why did you want to challenge me to a race? I mean, I'm hard you chose me big time, but..." Spider-Man paused for several seconds, finally pointing to Sky Blue Pegasus in his section, who had her rose irises fixed on Pinky's, cheering momentarily. "Rainbow Dash deserves this way more than I do. I'm as fast as a sloth compared to her." With a frown on her face and brow raised high, Spitfire gave the masked pony a look of suspicion, but both quickly dismissed, forming her closed eyes smile upward. "That's pretty cool of you, dude, but I already know Rainbow Dash is a speed demon. Learned that when she saved my life." She brought her hoof over her mouth. "Between you and me, she's faster than both of us. But I want her to mature a bit before I send her an invitation. Don't want her head to swell." Spider-Man continued to stare at the Wonderbolt. But he said to himself, okay, I get that. But why tells a unicorn like me and not any other Pegasus?
Racers, take your positions and allow the official to explain the rules of today's event.
Grumbling, the stallion turned, prepared to follow his given instructions. But a whistle from behind caused him to spin his head back to meet Spitfire. Her posture remained firm, and the smile on her face remained. Though for reasons unexplained, the Pegasus suddenly used her hoof to pull her goggles from over her face, or its irises revealed to the world. Spitfire made certain her sight was specifically centered on Spider-Man. Only he stammered as he tilted his head to the side. You want to know why I tell it to you? Because I think you have something they don't. As Spider-Man raised his hoof to ask a second question, Spitfire slid her eyebrow back into place and turned sharply on her hooves, but not before giving a serious smirk. Now, show me what you're made of, Spider! Everyone really wants me to go through with this, huh? Because I don't have a choice. Shrugging his shoulders half-heartedly, Spider-Man let out a defeated sigh, before leaping over to his assigned spot, staring at the starting line. Alright, you asked for it!
Mares and Stallions, welcome to today's event! This race will consist of 3 phases: the obstacle course, the Empire State Ascension, and the final obstacle course. First, both participants must adhere to their respective rules. Once airborne, Spitfire is prohibited from coming into contact with the ground or buildings more than 3 times. Should she fail to do so, Spitfire is automatically disqualified. Spider-Man is allowed to use buildings for various purposes, such as galloping, web-slinging, and prevents it from falling, as long as he remains on the course. But he is not allowed to fall to street level more than 3 times, or use any form of magic. Should he happen to land on street level, Spider-Man will be given 15 seconds to get back into bounds. Failure to enter the count of 15 will result in disqualification. Once the participants clear the obstacle course, they will immediately begin their ascension of the Empire State Building. The moment that they reach the flag at the highest point, they must ascend quickly as possible and begin the obstacle course. Whoever can reach the goal first will ever be disqualified and will be dubbed Manhattan's greatest acrobat. Take it away, Mr. Official! White Pegasus across the starting line, sitting his blue irises between the racers. Alright, you two, let's have a good clean race. No foul play. I'll disqualify you the moment I see anything dirty. Is that clear?
Both ponies nodded.
Alright, racers, take your mark.
The entire city grew silent a span of a few seconds as both racers planted their hooves, taking what seemed to be a pony's version of a 3-point stance. Spider-Man felt his heart racing, stumbling, breaking the silence in his ears. Many emotions could be coursed through his being, but none compared to the sense of anticipation and fear that threatened to overwhelm the young man turned stallion. Considering the dangerous life he led, Pierre felt rather silly getting worked up over a race.
Set!
Spitfire's wings rose to their highest peak, maintaining that form until the official would give the final signal. Spider-Man slid one of his hooves behind the back, but as much weight he physically could. Though his gaze was aimed for the course overhead, Pierre managed to steal one final glance at the mares in his entourage section, particularly the lavender unicorn. Then, the lingering sense of determination returned, slowing the outside world down except to Pierre. It was not the crowd nor odds that disturbed him, but the fear of disappointing twilight that almost engulfed the stallion in a wave of doubt. The opposing official's hoof lowered, bringing the world back to its normal speed. Spider-Man sparked eagerly. He would try his absolute best for Twilight's sake.
Go!
Lunging forward, both ponies scalloped out of the starting line and into the street. The crowd came to life, their cheers intensifying by the second. Spitfire's wings continued to flap as her hooves picked up speed, but her orange desires once he saw how much acceleration her opponent had already gathered, despite not having left the ground yet either. Spider-Man continued to pull away his full throttle gallop, wanting to use as much as the 15 seconds limit as possible. Finally, with a leap, Spitfire managed to take flight, quickly passing her opponent. Using all of his strength along with gained momentum, Spider-Man jumped to the highest and furthest of his ability, almost managing to reach Spitfire. But he moved to the side, forcing the stallion to fire a strand of webbing to pursue a swing. He threw himself from his webbing, landing on the side of the building before jumping into a new swing. Spitfire continued to maintain the lead, but a trio of blimps suddenly rose, blocking her path and threatening to swat the Pegasus out of midair. However, throwing her weight back, Spitfire flicked out of harm's way. Before she could attempt to go through the obstacle, Spider-Man dove over the mare, clearing the first blimp in the process. Falling to a dive, he positioned his body directly underneath the second blip before firing a strand of webbing to the underbelly of the obstacle. Spider-Man held onto the gossamer despite rapidly falling, but once the webbing reached its limit, it retracted and slingshot the stallion from the course. Despite the wide-eyed, shocked expression on the mare's face, a confident smile remained in place. "He's pretty good!" Flying over the first blimp, the Thunderbolt zipped underneath him before jetting over the third. "Guess I'll have to take him seriously." Princess Luna furrowed her brow, unaware a look of awe filled her features. Turned to Celestia by her side. "That was quite impressive," thought Babbitting Buffoon. "He's quite skilled. Do you also believe he can keep up this pace, sister?" The Sun Goddess nodded. "It's too soon to tell. Spider-Man has the advantage throughout the obstacle course." Her younger sister raised her brow, prompting Celestia to follow an explanation. "He is gifted with a sixth sense for danger. A spider sense, as he likes to call it. Whatever danger, whether mild or serious, is within his vicinity, he can sense it." Turning back to the race, Luna's expression stiffened. "So throughout the obstacle course, he doesn't need to worry about repulsing with caution. Well, the Spitfire must tread slightly." A faint smile formed in the Alcorn's face, but dissipated back to his trademark frown. "I understand now. With his ordinary reflexes, Spider-Man indeed has the edge over young Spitfire in the obstacle course." "Yes," Celestia replied, hesitantly dividing her attention to tower both racers' approach. "But Spitfire will regain the advantage through the ascension. I only hope our friend can weather that storm." "I believe he will." Luna's tone fell low, but a strong sense of confidence could be felt within. Celestia smiled, admiring the faith her sister had in her newfound friend. Spitfire steadily closed the gap, catching up to the whip-swinging stallion. However, before she could hope to pass him, a small obstacle emerged between the pair. Spider-Man was able to react, contorting his body into perfectly dodged projectile as well as maintain his speed. Unfortunately, Spitfire was not so fortunate, the object exploding, unleashing a bright flash of light. To Pegasus yelled in surprise as her senses grew disoriented. Sinking her head, she struggled to gather her bearings, but the moment Spitfire managed to plummet to her, a series of pyrotechnics erupted around her body, sending the Wonderbolt downward in a spiral to the ground. "And down goes Spitfire!" Was like she said for an nasty fall. Spitfire's eyes shot open once the rudder was all regulated. Flipping midair, she managed to flap her wings and stop herself from crashing to the ground. Spider-Man dashed the last of the fireworks, landing near the base of the Empire State Building. Scowling, the Pegasus sped back to her previous spot, this time managing to dodge the first array of light explosions. A second wave appeared, seemingly to prepare to swarm the mare a second time, but Spitfire changed her angle, flying between a duo of light spears and spun, knocking the third away with a kick before it ignited. Spider-Man continued to scale to cause the building at a full-speed sprint, using webbing from his front two hose to pull himself every few meters to attain his pace. Declaring the last of the obstacle course, Spitfire approached the Empire Building from full speed, leaving behind its orange-blue streak. Before she could collide with its head-on when it strikes her, the Wonderbolt used every ounce of her strength in her body to shift vertically skyward instantaneously, just barely missing the height of the 10-pony tower.
Both racers have entered the second phase of the race. Spider-Man has reached the halfway point, but I see Spitfire is already catching up to him.
Tracy watched with concerned gaze, biting feverishly with her hoof. "Come on, you can still win this!" Sweat poured from Pinkie Pie's forehead. Excitement building within her chest, combined with the heat of the sun, were responsible for her development. Yet her enthusiasm had not faltered in the slightest, but could not hide small tears forming in the corners of her eyes. She shook her pom-poms desperately. Progressively, with more force, the Spitfire closed in on Spider-Man. Suddenly, Tracy took her pom-poms back into her hoofs and retook her place beside Pinkie, this time shaking her cheering instruments with keen interest. "Don't you slow down now, you idiot! Go!" the unicorn yelled, earning a wider smile from the pink mare. The top of the nearby building was in reach, a few hundred meters to be exact. Spider-Man proceeded to climb in leaps and bounds, intending to give his burning muscles a momentary reprieve. But before such a thought could enter his mind, a streak blew by, whipping the stallion's mane over his face. Spitfire reached the highest point in the building in what seemed to be a flash. The flag that served as a checkpoint flapped at the wind's mercy, touching the tip with her hoof. Spitfire's wings retracted to her side and allowed the Wonderbolt to descend into a free fall. Chasing glances, Spitfire passed her opponent, but Spider-Man would only nod, firing a strand of weapon just underneath the flag's position. Pulled himself onto the pole with a single jerk, but remained perched on his side, with his gaze centered on the ascending Pegasus. With her gained distance and building speed, there would be no way to merely catch up by merely falling after her. Putting his hurling toes further against the flagpole, Spider-Man extended his two upper limbs and fired webbing from both the ends of the building. Not wanting to recline across the Aether Strand, the stallion climbed on the pole reversibly until he reached the top. With a brief intake of breath, Spider-Man leaped to the highest of its ability, ascending until his stretched webbing reached the limit of the slingshot to stallion, downward with the velocity of a bullet. Spider-Man neared Spitfire. He watched her wings extend, allowing the mare to further amplify her speed and keep her distance. As he pulled up, narrowly avoiding the concrete that waited below, Spider-Man fired two strands of webbing in mirrored directions, barely firing a plummet that would otherwise turn disastrous. Flying her at top speed while he swung his, the crowd roared with excitement as the competitors reached the final phase of the race, only a few feet apart, with Spitfire in the lead. I hate to interrupt this cool race, but I just thought about it, but how do you work webs with hooves? Do you flick the hoof up and down? Do you clap them together? It will say there's no place like web slinging, there's no place like web slinging. How does it work? I mean, normal web slingers are powered by pressure points, but to get on with it! Okay, but this is gonna bug me, I'll read! Dorothy hopped onto her section's rail, picking her hose over her mouth. Come on, Spider-Man! Woohoo! Unfortunately, she lost her balance, slipping back into the unwavering hose of fellow spectators. This gave the blonde Pegasus a set of glares, and Dorothy could only respond with an apologetic yet seeming smile. Sorry! Rarity's eyes practically beamed as he place. My word, it's so close! I can hardly stop it! Come on, Spider-Man! Rainbow Dash jumped, holding her place in midair. Bring it on home! Woohoo! You can do it! Flashlight streaked, bringing her every pony's gaze in her direction. She held in place, blissfully unaware of how high her voice grew. Yes, he can! Twilight said, smiling widely. Joining Fluttershy in her tipping frenzy, Twilight used her hose to clap. I believe in you, Spider-Man! An array of pyrotechnics swarmed her course, profoundly surrounding the racers. Spitfire stopped in her tracks and flipped to the side, dodging the first wave. Spider-Man spun into a dive, trying to kneel between a pair of fireworks, or started resuming his web swinging. I heard the crowd exclaim an unexpected development. Spitfire shifted her head, and finding an explosive sword flight path and bended her horizontal skyward flight path became hit-seeking missiles. Following the streak, the mare exploded. Peter felt an alarm off going in his cranium. A pair of orbs he dodged returned from behind, forcing his body to sweep away, his body to the side in order to dodge the first. Just as the second prepared to find his mark, Spider-Man swung around, spinning the ball of light with his tail. My God, this is a really extravagant for only 3 days preparation! The Wonderbolt performed a series of somersaults, but the pyrotechnics remained steadfast in the pursuit, zeroing in on what was soon to be a direct hit. Suddenly, Spitfire approached from the side of the building. Once the orbs were only a few feet away, she flapped her wings with all her might, pushing her body away as the orbs detonated on the structure instead. The shockwave sent her mare off balance, but she recollected her senses, finding her opponent landing on top of the first blimp. Instead of traveling underneath like he did the first time, Peter figured it would have been safer to travel overhead. He proceeded to jump across the blimps like a series of trampolines. Once Spider-Man landed on a third and final obstacle, Spitfire flipped over his head, dropping on the nose of their current obstacle. The finish line was just a few meters overhead, and here they were, only a few feet apart. Both ponies prepared to finish what they started. But one final pyrotechnic shot into the sky, its high-pitched scream serving as a battle cry. However, this ball of light was larger than the previous shots, meaning the force within was to be taken far more seriously. Something was wrong, evident by an erratic trajectory. It seemed to finally settle on course, aimed for the front of the nose. It was not to be. The ball lowered at the last moment, piercing the underbelly and burning through the top of the blimp. Spider-Man struggled struggling to maintain his balance on the rapidly descending blimp. Spitfire hovered from her position, giving the stallion a concerned expression. She offered her hoof out, prompting the hero to reach out and accept the gesture. There seems to be a malfunction. Every pony in the immediate area evacuate. There's no way every pony's going to get to safety on time. Spider-Man murmured, pulling his hoof away from the Wonderbolt. He peeked over his side, finding dozens of ponies scurrying from the area, where most were colliding each other, confirming Peter's fears. Shaking his head, he stole a glance at his friend, before turning his attention back to the immediate danger that was underneath we're in. Sorry, girls, doing calls! Whoa, wait, what are you doing? Spitfire yelled as the bullet crashed into various parts of the surrounding buildings, shattering glass and destroying steel beams. Jet fuel can't burn steel beams! That's not the point of this fake, Lucas! It's dangerous! Let me get you to safety! Don't worry about me! I'll just stop this! I'll just get back! Spider-Man retaliated, galloping across the blimp before the Pegasus could hope to argue. More glass fell in around her, forcing Spitfire to heat the stallions of vice. Retreat to the air. Spider-Man neared the edge. Gaze centered on his two hosts. I just hope I have enough women left to do this. So, Spitfire, you're going to pay attention to Spider-Man and not really do anything? Even when the giant glass chandelier was falling back on the Equestria Games, all the Pegasi joined in and started lifting it up. A couple of the Pegasi could come in and help and do something rather than let Spider-Man do all the problems. I mean, I know Spider-Man's the main character and all, but I'm getting really sick and tired that nobody else seems to want to do crap! Spider-Man dove into free fall, using a strand of webbing to pull himself to the underbelly of the blimp. Was back at the Zeppelin. He shifted his gaze from the approaching ground to surrounding buildings, stretching his host so they faced the opposite direction of each other. Spider-Man launched 2 strands of webbing, both lancing onto different buildings. Straining, he pulled the strand together, formed a cohesive thread. The weight of the blimp was already wearing on the gossamer, stretching it until it was ready to snap. However, Spider-Man retained his action several times at lightning speed, forming 8 threads to create 4 threads, then 32, to 16. Wait a minute. Forming 8 strands to create 4 threads, then 32 and 16. 4, 8, 32, 6, 16. I think there's something wrong with the math here. Only a few seconds remain at the collision. Deliberately losing his footing, the stallion fell backwards back, facing the ground and gaze focusing on the blimp's underbelly, particularly the center web within the threads in place. When his hose extended, Spider-Man unleashed an array of webbing, covering a majority of the bottom side. It served his purpose as extra padding, strengthening the bonds of the main strands. The blimp's descent slowed to a steady halt, thanks to the makeshift web net it rested in. Once certain danger had been averted, the stallion spun around and extended his hoof, but nothing happened as his plummet grew faster by a second. Spider-Man shook his toes frantically to no avail. His cartridges were depleted, leaving him no way to break his fall. By the time any point realized the predicament the hero was in, it was far too late. Other than Little Miss, I could create rainbows like nobody's business here. Care to do something? Hey, unicorns in the audience. Telekinesis? I mean, the only excuse back in the Equestrian Games was that magic was not allowed. Hello? Is this thing on? Hello? Oh my god, are civilians here as useless bag of Starfleet or something? No! Cried Twilight as Spider-Man crashed to the roof of a stand, the structure exploding for the impact. Hey, most powerful unicorn on the planet, thanks for the help! Pierre opened his eyes slightly, and safely ran his hoof across his face. Groggy yet released sighing escaped from the stallion upon releasing his mask was intact. A stinging sensation coursed through his head, prompting Spider-Man to force himself back into a standing position. But a weight of sorts ceased his progress before he could hope to begin. Upon further inspection, Pierre learned that a majority of his body was pinned under what appeared to be remains of a stand he crashed through. Yet he managed to chuckle despite his compromising position. The situation, while troublesome, pale in comparison to the time he was able to hold an entire building on his shoulders. I think it could be judged on Spider-Man's strength alone. A few slabs of stones were an inconvenience, at best. Sliding his hoof underneath a large piece of masonry, Pierre lifted it, straining to lift the material, failing on his first attempt. Exhaling, he pushed with all his might, but it proved futile, every ounce of his super strength having abandoned him suddenly. No, not now, he begged, groaning under his breath. Now the power drain remembers to come back! Shoot! That had been mentioned since chapters ago! I completely forgot about it! Thank you, Finn, for remembering that important plot point at this very inconvenient time. Wait a minute, I know who's responsible for this. Dee! I'm so glad you talked to me. It's Tilly, the plot convenience fairy. Hello. I'm here to make lousy excuses for plot summaries more convenient. Toodles. I regret writing that character. Parker looked vexed, his powers would deplete at such a horrendous time. But past experiences taught Pierre anything. It was the effects of disablement would last for only a few minutes at a time. Granted, he had not been full strength since his arrival in Equestria. However, the situation quickly developed for the worst. Each blink he took, Pierre's vision grew increasingly blurry. Slamming his eyes shut, he waited several moments before reopening his eyes. But much to Pierre's dismay, everything within his line of sight remained one unclear image. The hard reality began to sink in, matched by the weight of the wreckage that progressively made its presence felt in Pierre's weakening body. It was exactly Princess Celestia forewarned several weeks ago. No point knew when it would occur, but eventually Spider-Man's gifts would completely diminish. Now was that very time. As he said profusely, Pierre pleaded for more time, not for his sake, but for those around himself. After the incident with Blimp was seen on enough on its own, Spider-Man wanted to ensure everybody was safe. It wouldn't be much use of his powers. I can't help anyone if I can't help myself first! Pierre thought, rasping as the weight on his body began to compromise his air intake. Before he could attempt to free himself once more, a splitting pain in his front berry hoof. Perry reached out, cringing, but a cry of anguish escaped from the stallion before a trio of snaps fiercely echoed through the dormant vicinity. Gah! Oh, God! Pierre bit his lip and slammed his hand against the ground, desperate in act to ignore what was clearly a broken leg. Even during his fast irritability, his sense of healing factor were gone, leaving the usually Spider-Man broken like shattered glass. The fact that this became obvious once the firm grip of subconscious strengthened engulfed Pierre. His eyes sliding back in the head, the impact of the fall having finally correct effect, not on Spider-Man, but on Peter Parker. Before long, everything went black, and Pierre found himself in an involuntary slumber. So, a deep, frightening voice echoing through the abyss. Is that where you've been hiding? That voice, is that... Pierre tried to open his eyes, but a strong force kept him from doing so. Nothing physical restrained him. The muscles in his body felt heavy, unable to respond to any command. Yet Pierre felt light, like a wandering cloud lost in the endless of the rift. What's going on? Why can't I move? Am I dreaming? Such a shame. It would be so easy to finish you right now, the voice added. Its volume grew and caused Pierre's blood to grab cold as the winter wind. After everything we've been through, I owe you as much. My God, is that Osborn? Must be dreaming. Why would I? Time is short, but don't worry. We'll see each other again real soon, Spider-Man. Or should I say, Peter Parker. The same second, Peter begged to retort, but all train of thought dismissed. Following him as the deep darkness deepened. The differences between dream and reality were null and void as long as things remained as they were. Yet those ominous words from Osborn played through his mind relentlessly, finding a way to echo across the airwaves to his ears. It was impossible to ignore, but for the sake of his fleeing sanity, Pierre begged the voices to stop. The illusions of the dream would not have mattered so much, but the bottom of Pierre's stomach trembled, dismissing any notion to pass the moment as fantasy. It just felt too real to be a dream. Spider-Man! A second voice called out, this time from a woman. A woman! Like the first, it was familiar, but it was not an enemy. It was aged and full of wisdom, gained from years of experience. Yet there was a mysterious air about this woman, giving off an enigmatic aura. How could Pierre not recognize Madeleine's voice? It is nearly time for you to achieve your destiny. Madame Web, my destiny? What are you talking about? Pierre's mind screamed, demanding for any form of explanation. However, his body began to drift, fleeing as the darkness lifted into its light, filling the place. Aggravated, Pierre glanced out, swatting at the force that pulled him away. Those were not, cleared by his drastically increasing traveling speed. Answer me! Spider-Man, you must accept who you are in order to regain what you have lost. If you do not, all will be lost for the world. The light swallowed his entire presence, but the voice's presence could be felt, of sorts only a few feet away. You must, for her sake as well. Her, why you... Peter! Suddenly, a voice of great warmth filled her body. A third voice now reached out to him, belonging to that to a young woman. Please, wake up! Twilight! Peter's eyes opened, but slammed shut to the bright green of the sun's light. Using his hoof as a shield, the stallion slanted his eyes, grunting upon realizing his powers were still gone, evident by his poor vision. As Pierre focused his weight, preparing to stand, his body quickly found his body restrained, not by chain or steel bonds, but medical bandages and a blanket. Particularly one of his legs was wrapped within a cast and placed on a pillow. If remaining elevated, so recovery could be swift. He attempted to move his limb, but a bolt of pain struck, ceasing any progress before he could begin. Please, do not force yourself. Suddenly a hoof fell on his shoulder, bringing Peter's gaze to find a pink alicorn standing in front of him. Violet mane fell over her grayish purplish irises, and a golden pink strings rested behind her ears. Her smile grew. You're in Canterlot. You've been asleep for nearly a week. His brow furrowed. Who are you? Oh, I'm sorry. I imagine it's strange finding a complete stranger watching over you. She removed her hoof and giggled innocently. I'm Twilight's sister-in-law, Cadence. It's nice to finally see you.